is about self-love. Got to look at yourself and like it. Maya Angelou wrote this poem for women. She wrote it for the fat woman those who hate their size will do nothing about it except call a friend in the middle of the night and say, girl, there's a skinny woman in here trying to get out. She wrote this for fat women who love their size, who are the epitome of sensuality, especially when they walk down the street. She wrote it for skinny women who deserve our sympathy. She wrote it for all women. Phenomenal Woman is a celebrated poem of self-acceptance, celebrating female confidence and allure that stems from inner strength rather than conventional beauty standards. She defies societal expectations of prettiness, finding power in her authentic self-expression, grace, and unapologetic attitude. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling them lies. I say, it's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl in my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, into a man that follows, into a man the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally phenomenal. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's the arch in my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I am a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me. That's my mother. And that's all your mothers. And my grandmother, and your grandmother, and my great-grandmother, and then my great-great-great-great-grandmother. And all you women here, and me, phenomenally phenomenal women. That's us.
What a way to start out, beautiful. Thank you. I'm the program and outreach librarian here at the Portsmouth Library, and I would just like to go through some housekeeping items before we proceed. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. Before we start, please make sure you haven't forgotten to put in silence all your cell phones. I'll do the flight attendants thing. We have 2 doors for exit, and we have the one that you came through. Please do not go through the one that there if there is a need for it, because you'll just encounter all the children's books, and you don't want that. And also, I'd like to remind you that at the end of the event, over there in the hall, there are many of our program calendars, so you can find there all the upcoming programs and events, including the next TikTok, and I believe that is the last one on Sunday the 22nd, here in 11th Room at 2 p.m. After this, I think that's all. I'll leave you most very quick, with April Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you so member with the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire. So happy to be here with you today. Thank you all for being here in person and online, virtually. Thank you all to the volunteers and the sponsors for making this program possible. Without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you for this so much. Because of you, this series can go on. A quick note for today's Tea Talk is being recorded. All right, so and there's also a short anonymous, there's a short survey, anonymous survey in your program and in the chat, I believe, for those who are virtual. Your feedback helps keeps this program and these conversations going, so please fill out those surveys. Today's conversation is Unbought and Unbossed. Black female orator. I get a little hyped at that. So those words aren't just a slogan, there's a declaration. They speak to independence of mind, integrity of spirit, and courage to stand in your truth. When the world would rather you shrink. And you know I don't like that. Black women's voices have always done more than speak. They've built, they've challenged, and they've carried communities forward. And the legacy isn't just history, it's alive right now. Right now. So let's lean in, let's listen deeply, and let's remember that the voice is not just sound, it's power, it's presence. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our host, Ebony J.J. Curry, an award-winning master journalist and powerful public speaker. Welcome back. We're also honored to welcome our special guest, Reverend Irene Monroe, theologian, published columnist, and public speaker. Let's give her a round of applause.
Well, good morning, Portsmouth. How are you? Give yourselves a round of applause for coming here and supporting the Black Church. Super happy to be here again. I'm Ebony J.J. Curry. I am a master journalist, born and raised, native of Detroit, Michigan, so I'm very familiar with the cool weather. I'm happy to be here. As I said, not only am I Ebony J.J. Curry and a master journalist, I'm also a member of the Black Press. I'd like to start this off with letting you know, in 1827, Freedom Journal, who was the very first Black publication, laid down the mission in one sentence. We wish to plead our own cause, because too long have others spoken for us. The title today is Unbought and Unbossed, Black Female Oratory. That title is not a compliment, believe it or not. However, it is a statement about power, the power of a Black woman. Power of a Black woman in her words. Black women have never been allowed to just be speakers. When Black women speak, somebody usually tries to make it smaller, make it safer, make it fit. That's why the tradition is so important. The tradition I'm talking about is a disciplined lineage of rhetoric Black women that rhetoric Black women built, often without institutional permission, where speaking was defense and direction. The tradition reminds us that Black women's voices did not rise because the world welcomed them. No. They rose because the truth needed a carrier, and for if not us, then who? Sojourner Truth didn't walk into rooms to be liked, she walked in to be undeniable. Ida B. Wells didn't speak to soothe, she spoke to expose. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't speak to impress, she spoke so the country couldn't pretend. As we all know, her famous line is, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, this conversation is also a celebration. Yes, it is a celebration of brilliance, of craft, and presence. But it's also a question we're going to sit with out loud. Why does America need Black women's truth but fear Black women's authority? Because Black female oratory is not only art, it's also strategy, it's testimony, it's witness, it's survival, and sometimes it's the only place the truth can stand up straight. Reverend Irene Monroe is with us today because she can hold history, faith, ethics, and real life in one hand and speak plainly with the other. She understands how words work and what words cost. So we're going to talk about craft and cadence, but we're also going to talk about consequence, the joy, the backlash, the freedom, the price. And we're going to leave with a deeper understanding of what Black women's voices have done for this country and what we still need them to do. So, Reverend Irene Monroe, a theologian, published columnist, and public speaker. Reverend Monroe, I'm glad you're here. And I would love to start with your truth.
Good morning. Well, I should say good afternoon. I'm thinking of morning because I didn't go to church today because you invited me up here. And because I didn't go to church today, I'm so used to being at I call it the pulpit, but the lecture, which is why I'm not sitting beside you right now. But I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to thank all of you who hear me on Mondays with Jim and Marjorie on my segment called All Red Up. God bless you for listening. Okay, because I'm one of those persons that needs to get posted and stuff. But I'm delighted, really, to be with you this afternoon. I'm delighted to talk with you about the Black Women Oratory tradition where I fall in that history. It is a tradition whose shoulders I stand on. Public speaking has too often been assumed to be the province of Black men, such as pastors, preachers, academics, activists, and griots, who are the oral historians in our African and African diaspora communities. The tradition of the Black Women's Oratory is a powerful one. In this tradition, we have created a legacy of speaking truth power. We have created a sisterhood with our words and actions of lifting up as we cry. And we have created a counter-narrative to the demonizing and dehumanizing depiction of us as Black women. In the Black Women's Oratory tradition, we have learned that when we speak, we have to own our words and control our narrative. For example, the famous, often quoted phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" And Sojourner Truth's speech is an inaccurate, is an inaccurate representation, not only of Sojourner Truth's actual words, but also her accent. Sojourner Truth was enslaved by Dutch settlers in New York. When sold at the age of 9 to an English-speaking owner, she struggled to understand their orders because she spoke Low Dutch. 12 years after Sojourner Truth's famous speech in 1851, during the Civil War, a white abolitionist, Francis Danner Gay, I'm taking my time because I want y'all to think this, that ain't right, I want you to be able to fact check me, published a version of her speech in the New York Independent, fabricating a Southern slave dialect, and inventing the phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" because it had dramatic flair for whom? The Black women's tradition is one that is born out of necessity. In spaces where Black women were explicitly told, you have no right to speak. Starting, I have to call it out, the Black church. Now, since I was in church, sisters say, amen, 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 all right. But we clap back nonetheless with our voices. In this tradition, we speak up and speak out because we know that the personal is political. And because we know that to be true, we write and speak ourselves into existence to mitigate erasure or being a footnote in history. We use our voices to transform climates of injustice. In our call to action, we use our words to include everybody. Because we know, given our lived reality, that the power of the people is always greater than the people in power. And yes, I didn't do church today, so I got to get some of that Black Harlem style up in here. And yes, in this Black Women Oratory tradition, we are activists too. Now, there are two types of activists. There are those who are thermometers. Those are the people who measure the temperature in the world. And then there are those who are thermostats. These are the people who change the temperature in the room. Now, in the Black women's oratory tradition, we use our words and voices to change it. We are the freedom fighters, like Ida B. Wells, who use her words and voice to fight against lynching of Black men. Fannie Lou Hamer, who you mentioned, a powerful Mississippi sharecropper and civil rights activist, who was known for her plain-spoken eloquence delivered in a speech where she said, "I'm sick and tired, baby, of being what? Sick and tired." Oh, you do well with the cold Fannie Lou Hamer was speaking for every Black person living in Jim Crow America. But I just got to say this, okay? It doesn't matter here. Now, this is how I see it as a Black person. That here's the Mason-Dixon line. If you love it, down south. Now, if you love it, come on now, up south. There you go. All right, there you go. We're speaking truth to power. Okay, California Congresswoman Maxine who refused to be interrupted or her voice to be silent or her authority undermined in the House of Reps when she says, "What? I'm reclaiming my time." In the Black women's oratory tradition, some say we are bad girls. We talk too much. We're stepping out of line. But many don't understand the fire of our spirit that gives rise to the cadence in our speech. They don't understand the weight of our blues, the pain of our fears, or the fierce need for a society to protect us as Black women and our families and our community, which is why we speak so forcefully and passionately. Sadly, when we with this kind of forcefulness and passion, sadly, what accompanies that depiction for us is the historical trope of the angry Black woman. The trope of the angry Black woman is pervasive in American culture. It depicts Black women as inherently aggressive, loud, irrational, ill-tempered, and overbearing. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is considered, come on now, an angry Black woman. When she clapped back to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal insult, Jasmine described her as a bleach blonde, bad girl, butch body. This trope of the angry Black woman functions as a tool of social control to silence us, to invalidate us, to demonize and to dehumanize us as Black women. I just want to give you an example of someone that I think everybody in this room loves, okay? In February 2008, during Barack Obama's first presidential campaign, yes, Michelle Obama was widely criticized and labeled as an angry Black woman for making this statement. For the first time in my adult life, I'm really proud of my country. Now, that comment was made at a Milwaukee rally. It was intended to express her excitement over the grassroots support that Obama got, and the country really hungry for change. However, the comment was heavily criticized by political opponents and media pundits and described her as being unpatriotic. But also in 2008, I guess they were having cognitive dissonance. They weren't used to seeing someone that had the audacity, not only of hope, but also to run for the highest office in this country. But in 2008, not that much has changed in 2026. Okay, but in 2008, the New Yorker depicted Michelle Obama, okay, as a bitter, militant, and angry armed militant. Ooh, I just have to laugh to keep from cussing. Okay, however, I love this quote that Michelle said in the 2015 Democratic Convention, and I hope all of you will hold on to this whenever you're feeling dehumanized. Like, you know, when they go low, you go high. Okay, you come to church next time. Okay? There were many women in the Black oratory tradition that molded me. But I just want to talk about two. I grew up personally knowing one of the most powerful voices in American politics, and that was Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm represented my Brooklyn district. Is Brooklyn in the house? Okay, I'll take it. Okay, it's one of the balls. Okay, come on, what bar? Do or die. All right. So she represented my congressional district in 1968 to 1983. And in that district, which was really comprised mostly at that time, before gentrification, was African American and Puerto Ricans. She was known throughout the neighborhood and the halls of power in New York City as a force to be reckoned with. Who was what? Unbought? And you don't know it? And Unbought and Unbossed. That's all right. Y'all need to get up on Shirley. All right. The campaign slogan, Unbought and Unbossed, was also the title of the 1970 memoir. Now, we're kids in the neighborhood called them the City. Al Sharpton, who I grew up with, is still my homie, okay? He come to visit me, and people wonder, oh, you know Al Sharpton, but we grew up in the projects together, okay? And graduated from Tilton High School together, okay? But we kids called him back in the day, Fat Alfred. But he was that, yeah. I got a little impression. I have to say it. So this is a cute little thing when I look back at it as a kid. He was a cute little chubby with a little Bible, and he's a little Pentecostal, and he would be on the playground cussing, saying whatever. He'd say, sin, so we decided to beat his ass, but that was all right, we love him today, okay? But anyway, he was the director of the youth division of this campaign, which I was a part of. So in 1972, Shirley Chisholm was the first female person of color to run for president on the Democratic ticket, paving the way for others. In her 1973 book, The Good Fight, Shirley Chisholm shared why she ran, and she wrote this. She said, the next time a woman runs, or a black, or a Jew, or anyone from a group that the country is not ready to elect to the highest office, I believe that she will be taken seriously from the start. I got 5 minutes, don't worry about it. You should never get a black preacher. Okay, now I'm going to have to redact. Okay, come on. Okay, but let me I just want to do the quote. Okay, the next time a woman runs, or a black, or a Jew, or anyone from a group that the country is not ready to elect to the highest office, I believe that he or she will be taken seriously from the start. I ran because somebody had to be the first. That's all, okay? And the next time in the Democratic Party were these folks. In 1984, Queen Rep. Geraldine Ferrara became the first vice president nominee. In 1984 and 1988, Jesse Jackson ran for president. In 2008, Barack Obama and Hillary ran for president. In 2012, Clinton ran for a second term, and in 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris ran for president. All right? Okay? That's about standing on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm. So my rep, Ayanna Presley, occupies Shirley Chisholm's old office in D.C. today. I learned this from Shirley Chisholm, that democracy can only begin to work when those who are relegated to the fringes of society can begin to sample what those in society take for granted as their inalienable right. And it starts at the ballot box. So I hope you will vote this midterm election here. Another person who I personally knew and who profoundly helped me find my voice was Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde was a renowned black lesbian, feminist, poet, public speaker, and an intersectional civil rights activist. Audre Lorde used her voice to address racism, sexism, homophobia, social injustice, any and everywhere, because that sister girl lived at the intersection of it all. Known to be powerful, melodic, give an intense delivery, she was recognized as a spoken word artist long before it became popular in the 2000s. She viewed public speaking as a vital extension of her activism, often repeating the mantra, "Your silence will not protect you." The fact that y'all couldn't chime in with me, go read that. We're in the library. Go pick up one of her books, okay? Audre Lorde taught me this. We have to speak up and speak out for ourselves. Otherwise, others will speak for us, whether well-meaning or self-serving. As a public theologian, I found my life's work doing social justice activism. The foundation of my life work is what Jesus said in Matthew 25:40. "What you do for the least of these, you do for me." My life work is grounded in an intersectional anti-oppression activism and praxis. As an African-American lesbian minister and theologian, I've been trying to shape both a local and national affirming public dialogue on queer and religious social justice issues. Thank you. I can't begin to tell you how many churches I've been thrown out of, and seminaries and schools, but thank you, okay. Okay, my work seeks to inform the public of the role religion plays in discrimination against all people, but especially LGBTQIA2 people, okay? Because homophobia is both the hatred of the other and is usually acted upon in the name of religion. By reporting religion in the media, I aim to highlight how religious intolerance and fundamentalism is, okay, MAGA, 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 okay, not only shatters the goals of American democracy, but also aims in perpetuating other forms of oppression, such as racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, you name it, there is up in there somewhere. Okay, so that has been my work, and when I was writing a sentence a day on my dissertation, I'd get back to my activism. Finding my spiritual voice has been an arduous journey until I learned about the Black women's oratory tradition. Before then, I had no language that adequately articulated the unique embodiment of my spirituality. For me, the Black women's oratory tradition became my canon for survival, my Bible, and my talking book. The tradition helped me to create a counter voice to the Black church heteropatriarchy, and it gave me the power to come out of the closet. The tradition has given me voice to tell my homophobic, yes, church brothers and sisters, seminarians and professors the following. As queer people, we are not children of a lesser God. That gay people love Jesus just as much as straight people. And Black queer lives are sacred too. Because of the many voices in the Black women's oratory tradition, they talked and preached about God, and it affirmed my deep longing for a oneness with God. Now, because of these sisters who have come before me, women who I've either met, heard, or read their words, I can unabashedly, unapologetically, I know time is up, I'm almost there, okay? I can unabashedly, unapologetically, and openly identify myself as an African American, cisgendered, lesbian, Christian minister on a good day, and a public theologian. I stand on their shoulders who have made it possible for me to come and speak with you today. Thank you very much.
Well, it's very clear that this is going to be a great conversation today. Reverend Monroe, now, you had a lot to say in your opening, a lot of them we're probably going to touch back when it comes to me asking you these questions. But I do want to start off with, when you hear Unbought and Unbossed, what do you hear behind it? Is it freedom, refusal, or risk? And who has historically tried the hardest to boss Black women's voices?
Well, first of all, I hear Shirley Chisholm. Second of all, it's all of those, the descriptors that you certainly have shared with me. And it's very, very interesting, you know, like in my opening statement, that, you know, Black women, and women in general, I need to say that speaking publicly was never the province for us. We have to remember that we were relegated to the cult of domesticity, and some presidents still want us back there. But nonetheless here, so when I hear that, I mean, you look at media, and it's very interesting because, of course, we understand that in venues like media, because I'm in media too, and I'm also in press. But see, I've always been told you talk too much, you say too much, you're too crude, you're too loud. So it makes me say that, you know what, I'm not buying the politic of silence. And long before I had ever met Audre Lorde, I understood that when things are silent, that unwillingly or willingly, you participate in your own oppression. And that as women, and the fact that we speak up, no matter whether it's crude, it's elegant, or not, it's important that we give voice. You know, there's a book here called Vox. Anyone read it? Y'all need to pick that up too, okay? Okay, but in any event, it talked about limiting women to speak. It's sort of like The Handmaid's Tale, but talking about women's speech here. Limited to 100 words a day. work with that. Work with that.
That is hilarious. And I also want to commend you on the work that you have done and that you continue to do. In addition to the Black press, I'm also with the 19th News, who highlights women specifically in the LGBT community. So it's definitely powerful to be with you today. And as you mentioned, a lot of times Black women's oratory is often treated like culture, something that's rare and cute, and you know, but I think it's very important for us to treat it more so like power. So what does Black women's speech do in society when it's at its strongest?
Well, it's always transformed, even when it's demonized. It is always transformed, even when it's commercialized, like using Sojourner Truth, who has speak Dutch, okay, but yet give her a Southern dialect here and stuff. And what it speaks to, it's always been this culture appropriating our language. Now let's call that out here and stuff. So I mean, the point is, it's very interesting for people who are supposed to be inarticulate, and then they find Obama and says, oh, he's so articulate, as if that was a new phenomenon.
So well spoken.
But what we have to understand is that a lot of the language that we even use in today's culture is appropriation from the dominant culture. So I'll give you one, because you know we used to say, "What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, sis?" Okay, all of that it gets appropriated and commercialized here. So the point is that people recognize that our words are powerful. The important thing is for us to recognize it, and if anybody's gonna bank on it, it should be us. We should license it out.
Absolutely. For if not us, then who? I want to stick with language. And I want you to take us inside the craft, being that this is not only what you are doing now, but this is what your background has as far as speaking. Take us inside that craft.
Okay.
What makes a speech unforgettable, not inspiring, not trendy, as you mentioned, but what makes it stick? What's happening in the language, the structure, the timing?
Yeah, I think it's anything, because I do write op-eds. And I think some of you hear me on Jim and Marjorie. It's speaking to the particular moment in the language of the people. One of the things is that Bell Hooks talked about. The book is called Teaching to Transgress. If you ain't read that, do so too. Okay. But the whole idea, and I think I learned that very well at my very first church here. So here I am. So I did my master's at Union Theological Seminary in New York City before coming up to Harvard to do my doctorate. And so here I am at my first church, and I'm so excited. And I have all the stars. I'm being taught by all the black theologians, and they happen to be housed at Union Theological Seminary. So there's James Ford, the preacher who eventually goes over to Riverside Church. Cornell long before he came to Harvard, and Jim Cone, the godfather of black theology. But the point that I'm trying to get, here I am with this theological education, and I'm going to my first church in the South Bronx. And I'm just sounding like a textbook. And you know, the one thing I love about black folks, and especially black women, they will call you out. So this sister in the church, Sister Pettaway, said, you know, Rev Irene, I know you are doing well at the seminary, but who are you talking to, okay? And she said, and girl, with a voice like that, you ought to use it to preach, and okay, and not talk to us. And that was, okay, and so they taught me how really to talk to them and stuff. But it's anything, it's like writing for your audience. So listen, I gotta tell you real quickie, okay, real quickie. So when I left Wellesley College, I went back home, and I was a writer for 17 magazine. Now, the woman who interviewed me, I had wanted to go, I need to say this, every black girl in that time wanted to work at Essence. I didn't get the job.
Same, I still do.
Okay, I did. And I still hate the hussy who got it, because I think I write better. But nonetheless, I didn't get it, so I went to 17. And the reason how I get to 17, the woman says to me, she sees me crying in the corner. It was a job fair at Wellesley that day, and I'm crying in the corner. Okay, got on my Sunday best. I didn't get the job at Essence, you know. And she says, well, you know, I'm looking at your writing, blah blah blah. Would you write at 17? So I give her this, you know, incredulous look, like what, like what? So she says to me, well, she says, well, you know, my audience is particularly white women, white young girls. I said, oh, I can do that because I'm here at Wellesley. I know how these white girls think. So it's kind of learning your audience here and stuff. I said, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I knew how to do that.
Great answer. Now, a lot of times, often when you have people of our counterparts, they come and they're around us. A lot of times they want to use the same cadence or use the same, you know, a beat in our voices to try to relate, if you will.
Yeah.
Now, what's a mistake people make when they try to imitate black women's oratory? What's the difference between cadence and authority?
Yeah, I think what happens, you know, like you'll hear some white girl say, "What's up, girl?" And you go like, It might be you, but the point is that relatability, and I know sometimes it's done with good intentions, but I need to say this because I say this at the church. Okay, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but it's hell nonetheless. Okay, okay. Theology won't, no. But seriously, but I think what we ask here, and I think for anything, is to really be your authentic self, whatever that is. That comes across genuine. We're not asking you to be anybody but yourself. I think sometimes you denigrate the human tapestry, how beautiful it is, and that we come with our own particular light to shine here. So, you know, as much as I wanted to be Aretha Franklin and can't sing a dime, okay, the point is that, no, I'm Irene, okay, there it is. You know, and in black church, I need to tell you, you know this here, if you can't sing, they'll tell you. They say, girl, child, baby girl.
Get on the usher ministry.
And you know, I was head usher. I was head usher.
I'm sure.
Okay, yes I did. I said, come on up in here, sit here. Okay, yes indeedy. But okay, there it is.
I love that. And I know it's going to be hard to choose one, but I'm going to challenge you with this. Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer. What did she understand about America that shaped how she spoke, and what did she refuse to do for comfort? I am curious to hear about Sojourner Truth.
So it's not choosing any one of them. What they all have in common, and the term is two terms: intersectionality, race, class, and gender, and then you add sexual orientation and gender identity. What they also have in common that they understood, and one of the things I always tell people, that racism looks different up south than it does down south. Okay, down south we see the Klan. Up here we don't. But then again, I'll never forget what happened. Was it Charlottesville? I said to someone, I know I was being kind of snarky, I said, these boys, they were going to take down the Robert E. Lee statue. And they came with these tiki tiki lanterns here, and I was having cognitive dissonance because I had been doing lesbian weddings, and honey, if you're doing a lesbian wedding back then, you had a had one of those lanterns here, okay? And the boys didn't look like they were in drag, but nonetheless here, I had said to a friend of mine, I said, well, at least back in the day, these white people had the decency to at least put a hood over them. I said, today, honey. But intersectionality, that is something that comes in common, and depending where you are geographically, it plays out very, very different. Another word is called misogynoir. That is a particular kind of misogyny that is exacted upon black women. So it doesn't matter if it's Ida B. Well, Sojourner Truth, or Harriet Tubman. It's very, very interesting. I need to say this little something. Okay, so when we come to Harriet Tubman reading her, we think she's mute, don't we? And stuff, and so it's amazing, we understand that she was not educated, formally educated, but one of the things that people don't understand about the black community, many of us are organic intellectuals, no matter how you look at that. We have always found a way to read or write. I'm not disputing some of the history behind her, but I think it's very funny that a woman that powerful is muted in society. But I just got to give you another one. So To Kill a Mockingbird. Now tell me y'all read that book.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So you read To Kill a Mockingbird, right? And so in that book, you have Calpurnia. Calpurnia is the maid, and she doesn't say anything. Not a word here. And so what historians are doing, and artists and journalists and all, they're reimagining and understanding black lives, being in that time, just might what Calpurnia had said to a little precocious scout at that moment here. But no one does it better. Okay, now tell me you read this. James, but okay, but again, giving word to Jim, and calling him James and not the word that is in Huckleberry Finn here and stuff. I know I digress, but it was entertaining, was it not?
I'm going to go a little off script here, and I want to go back to what you said when you're talking about how the black woman, specifically Harriet Tubman, how ironic is it that she's portrayed as mute?
Yeah.
How important is it, though, in addition to black women being able to speak up, how important and how much of a secret sauce it is for us to also observe and sit back and not always be the one in the front and always having to hold the stake up.
Right.
How important is that?
I think that's important because, okay, but let me just say this to follow up with Harriet Tubman here. The reason why it is rather incredulous to even think that she didn't speak. Now, if you ever see some of the photos, she's carrying a rifle, okay? Now, you telling me you're going to carry a rifle and not have some things to say to black and white people? That's all right. That's all right. But let me tell you why sometimes it's important not to speak up. Because sometimes our words get misused. There's a level of fatigue, intentional misappropriation. I think when I look at this particular moment, I think it's very interesting. People are asking here up in Boston. I can't speak for New Hampshire, though I can't see it that much different than down there. They're saying I don't see black people coming out to the No Kings rally. By the way, is what? March 28th. By the way, here. And they say, well, why are black folks not coming out? Well, some of the obvious thing is absolutely. I mean, look, before ICE. Okay, just policing of black people. Okay, that's number one. But number two is there's a certain kind of fatigue. There's work that white women need to do. So I don't I guess the thing I have a problem with is 53%, voted for Trump and pretty much did the same again. There's a certain level of fatigue that you want our blues, but you don't, you know what I mean? But you don't want our pain. You want our vote, but you don't want our vices. You know, after a while, I know we like to say, misappropriation, but I just like the street language. You're just pimping us, okay? And after a while, okay, there's a certain level of fatigue. And at this particular moment, where it calls for a kind of intersectional activism and stuff, white people, okay, that could have never imagined being targeted, the diminishment of their rights. Because I'm of that era where in 1973 we saw Roe v. Wade, and what your grandchild, not your daughter, but your grandchild does not have access. This is a time for white people, because see, there's a diminishment of your rights, and it makes you question your whiteness. I always ask folks when I'm doing an anti-racism workshop, two things: how are you white, and how white are you? Now, in black culture, it's very easy. We say white, bright, damn near white. But what I'm asking you is, when did you get your white card? Okay, when did the Italians become white? When did the Jews become white? When, all of that, because this notion of white homogenized milk, I call it, has duped you and has stole from you your history. Okay, and depending on your white ethnicity, not class, depends on how much white privilege you will ever have. And you collude into this whole notion of white supremacy. Because see, I have this thing, because we live in a capitalist society. If your money is not working for you, then you're working for your money. Okay? We're all workers at different levels on the economic capitalist scale.
Absolutely. Now, I want to say this quiet part out loud. Let me say it plainly. What does it cost black women to tell the truth publicly? Career, safety, reputation, relationships, peace. What comes or what shows up first?
Okay, so let me give you someone that you all should know back in the day. Eartha Kitt? Okay. Girl, you too young. You won't even born.
Billie Holiday, yeah. I want to go with you, Reverend Monroe.
Okay, look at that. We got 10 minutes. We better wrap this up. Okay, all right. Eartha Kitt, back in the day, made a statement, about the government, and it isolated her. Okay, I'll even go back further. And don't tell me you know. Okay. Okay. Paul Robeson. Okay, Paul Robeson. Okay, there you go. That's right. Okay, it can cost you not only your livelihood but your life. But however, some are brave, and out of a sense of just moral integrity, they take a stance here. And so, in this particular moment that we find ourselves, I said something. I said the power of the people are far greater than the people in power. We have the power. So, and the kind of coalition building that I'm talking about here. Look, you don't have to be my friend, okay? And please no, I don't even want to come to your house. Look, I'm even do better. Your neighborhood. Okay? Because I always know, see, up in Cambridge, we operate in code. We don't have placards that say for blacks or for whites. We do it in a much more sophisticated way. We do it by zip codes. See, if you're 02138, that's Harvard. But anything outside the parameters of that, you know where you live. And that's why in 2009, Professor Henry Louis Gates got picked up, well, I should say, got arrested. Not, because the neighbor, supposedly, couldn't believe that man owned that beautiful yellow house on Ware Street that we all knew, and we know everybody that live up in. This is one of the time I need to say this. There's with every stereotype, there's a modicum of truth. Okay. We know everybody in Cambridge, all the black people. We know each other. Some of it is because so few, and the other one is out of safety.
All right, Reverend Monroe, we only got about 7 more minutes. I want to make sure we get...
Oh, we get everything? Okay, I digress. I can't help myself.
It's a good conversation.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I do want you to answer this. If black women's oratory is truth-telling, What truth do we need most right now that people keep trying to dodge? And who benefits when that truth stays unsaid?
Okay. Trump is a sociopath. We are now not approaching, but living in a fascist society. If you remember anything about Argentina and the disappeared, we too do the disappeared. And the point is what we understand about the Epstein files, how the rich and famous, okay, get away, okay? Yeah, that's an Uber class. Thank you. The Epstein class. That's an Uber class. And I'm not dismissing of the pedophilia and depraved behavior. I'm talking about the snoozing that they do. You know what? I got to just go up here.
No, go.
Okay.
Go.
I got a little sense of that when I was at Harvard as a doctoral student. You would get your packet, your course packet. And and it lists all the courses, you're available to take in your track or whatever. But you always get this advertisement that said this: Harvard is more than an education. It's the club ties you make. I didn't understand that as a black girl coming from projects in Brooklyn, but boy, did I learn that. So we understand this. So this is where I get back to white people. Unless you're in that I'm going to use your word, Epstein class, why aren't you fighting for your right? What makes you think? It makes me think of this. Another digression here.
Go ahead.
But so apropos, okay? So apropos.
But they say preach, Pastor.
Okay. Pastor Niemöller, this was during the Nazi era. He said, when they came for, come on now. I didn't speak up because what? Okay, come on, I love you now. Okay, when they came for the Jews?
No, communists.
Communists.
Communist trade war, sorry.
Guys, say, come on, girl, come on.
When they came for the communists, I didn't speak up because I wasn't communist. When they came for the trade workers, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade worker. And when they came for the Jews, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. And when they came for me, there was nobody left.
All right. All right.
Come on now.
Come to church on Sunday. Okay, come on. Okay, come on, girl. Okay. Did I answer that question? I know. But I digress.
No. What truth do we need most right now that people keep trying to dodge?
Well, speak up. I did. We got okay. That's what I said. Speak up. Yeah. She said it so eloquently. Yeah. I like to speak in narratives. Okay.
Nice.
You did the highlight.
Okay, last question.
Okay, good.
can
I
take
hope
your
I
time.
answer it. I don't know.
Finish this sentence plainly.
All right.
And also tell us what that freedom requires from her and from the rest of us. But a free black woman's voice is?
Not in America. Okay. Okay, not in America. Look, I don't live there, but not in Canada, like nowhere, because they have constantly chained our voices. So much so that I'm not sure that we even know the full strength and cadence and resonance of our voices. That was quick. That's I'm in the brevity too. I want you to know that I'm in the brevity. Okay, I'm in the brevity.
Okay, one more thing.
Okay.
I want to kind of go off that one. Tell us what that freedom requires. Although you said it's not in America, but what does it require from the rest of us?
To enact a couple of things. So in the preamble of the Constitution, it says, we the people, okay? Understand that we the people. And then if you read the Constitution, but I know somebody who really didn't, but nonetheless, okay? Okay? But what follows if you go beyond that preamble are these amendments. The reason why we have these amendments is to allow for freedom, like freedom of speech, free to assembly, okay? The freedom of religion, all of that, okay? So I think that freedom is not something that is individual. I'm not free, and I have to quote King, I'm not free unless you're free. What affects one? What affects us all? We're tied up into, who got it? Okay, there you go. Absolutely, a beloved community here. So the point is that freedom is not a singular thing. Freedom is a collective thing. And when we get into our sense of, I call tribalism, that, I'm not queer, I'm not a female, all of that, we know this adage too here, divide and conquer. And I think that we see that, aside from the fact that the Democrats, I just gotta say, they ain't got no game, but that's another thing, ain't got no game. But the point is that freedom is just not an individual thing here. Unfortunately, what we've done, I think, and I think some folks are shocked and awe, but you ask black people, we ain't shocked and awe. We've been there and done that. But since white people appropriate, then appropriate a page from the civil rights movement. We ain't mad. Look, that's a freebie. Take it, okay? And organize.
I love that. This was an amazing conversation, wasn't it? I want to say thank you to Reverend Irene Monroe, who's amazing, very insightful. This was a thought-provoking conversation for myself, and I hope it was for you all as well. In the words of Ms. Maxine Waters, we are reclaiming our time, and that is it. Thank you so very much.
Yep.
Now it's time for a Quincy and Q&A.
Oh, it's Q&A now.
It's Q&A.
Oh, all right, Q&A.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hello? We good? Cool.
No. Can I get some tea, if you don't mind?
I'll talk over here. Hi, everyone. My name is Quincy Worthy. I am the Senior Program Director at the Black Heritage Trail. I'm just going to go over some community dialogue group agreements really quick, and then we can go to the audience for questions. It's up there, but I'm going to read them as well for the folks that are online. So just focus on being respectful, use respectful language. Please use the microphone. Like I said, folks online, make sure you're holding it close to your face. Listen generously to learn. Please don't interrupt. Share airtime. We won't really have to worry about that because I'll be giving the mic to people, so that'll be good. Be mindful that good intentions can still have a harmful impact. If it gets to that point, I will do my best to facilitate that. And then honor confidentiality. The stories stay, the learning leaves. This goes more for conversations that you have amongst yourselves, since this is recorded and will be made public. So with that being said, any questions about those things? Fantastic. Now any questions for our folks up there?
Hi, thank you for your wonderful words. I want to just point out something that I'm reading a book right now. Whoop, what's the matter? Thank you. And in it pointed out that in 1917, the Espionage Act was passed. Are you familiar with that? Which made it illegal for citizens to question the nation's war aims. Followed by the Sedition Act, resulting in the arrest and imprisonment of our peace and labor organizers. Finally, a Deportation Act, which authorized the expulsion of immigrants. And at that time, it said that the nation was marching along backwards. We can feel that today, but I want to point out to your, thank you again for your words of encouragement to speak out, because the anarchists spoke out at that time. The civil rights movement occurred. The hippies, of which I was one, marched to stop the oppression of the government. So speak out. Would you have any other advice or comments?
Well, yeah, organize. We really have to organize. So I feel like, no offense, and I have been to a few of the King's March too, but I feel like we're doing a cameo appearance around activism. We're here today, and it's not to ignore the way in which the internet and other social medias have helped bring us together. But the fight has to be constant. It has to be visual as well as online. One of the things, that's why I say take something out of the 60s. I mean, people were always on the street. There was the Vietnam War, there was the women's movement, the gay movement, the civil rights, people were fighting, and I think that that it's a good idea. We get out there. I'm thinking of Boston. I don't know how it gathers here, but we're in the Boston Common. And we're mad as hell. We want change and stuff. But I feel like then when you take the MBTA back home, you know, that's it. The day is gone. So it feels like a cameo. And it has to be ongoing. And I keep telling people this, is that if you look at something intersectional, we could be fighting for the same thing differently. So if you want to do racism, okay, the hot book, you can do environmental racism. You can, you can do systemic racism. I mean, there are ways, the tentacles. Something is not single issued, but we move too linearly to understand that there are a plethora of options of how we can make this work, because there's many more people involved. When you look back really at the civil rights movement, it was down in the South. These people could literally lose their lives. One of the tension between Adam Clayton Powell and King was that Adam Clayton Powell wanted to be the leader of the civil rights movement, but they took this Georgia boy, okay, and put him in Alabama, because he knew how to speak to the heart and soul of those people. And with that, was able to raise the moral consciousness of a people. Now, I just need to say this, and you were not born. Don't even tell me you know this, okay? Okay? But, I mean, this is back in the day of Bull Connors, George Wallace. I mean, we just in 1954, see, I wasn't even born then, okay? But nonetheless, Brown versus Board of Education. And the one place you would think that it would be a more easier transition, it wasn't. Boston busing. Okay? All right. So that's why I call it up south. Okay? Because that looked like something that could have been any place in Alabama, Tougaloo, Mississippi, any place. So that's the stuff that really needs to be done here. It's just that you might not be for gay rights, but doggone it, you know somebody's gay, and if it's against your religion, fine. Find another cause. Find another cause and just get with the gay person, okay? Okay? Just do something, okay?
Any other?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see you in person, Reverend Irene, after hearing you on the radio. I love the term, I don't love the concept, but misogynoir, and I'm wondering about Kamala Harris's run for election and how exciting that was, and how, like, so much hope, and also, is it misogyny? Is it black women? Is it a black person? What is it? And I also know that 53% of white women voted, but there was also a lot of people who didn't vote at all. There were people who didn't even come to the ballot box. So is there going to be a time when a black woman, because there are so many awesome black women in office right now. You mentioned Ayanna Pressley, Jasmine Crockett. I'm proud to be connected to them in the small ways that I am, but do you see that happening ever?
Yeah, I do. It might not be in my lifetime, okay, because I'm now a senior. It may not be in my lifetime, but let me tell you two things I could have bet my last dollar on. I said, as long as I'm black, and you folks know I'm black, I said, we will never have a black president. And lo and behold, a name that I couldn't even pronounce. Actually, I thought it was Leroy Jones, actually, because his name was Amir Baraka. Okay, and I said, oh, okay, it makes sense to have a poet, why not? Okay, but my point is here, that's what's called, Jeremiah Wright first said it, and Obama appropriated it, the audacity of hope. Okay, because that is the anchor that moves people to think beyond the confines of their narrow environment. It is hope that has anchored black people. When we had nothing, Coretta King said this, we had hope and we had prayer. Okay, but at the same time, we were also mobilizing and doing something here. So yeah, I do see it. I don't, I feel like some people are doing this with this era. It's like, oh, history has seen this before, it'll snap back. How is it gonna snap back? You ain't doing anything to snap it back. So I think what it is here is that white people are not, now I'm speaking for all white people, don't I sound like a bigot? Okay. But white people, woke and unwoke, gotta understand that there is a diminishment of your rights, See, because we've always had diminishment of our rights. It has now, it has come after you. And so what are you going to do? And the question that baffles me most, there were some times that I thought it was going to move, like when George Floyd died. I was astonished. I said, we don't even have a COVID vaccine, and people are just out there. I said, well, there's going to be a whole lot of dead people by the end of this, okay? But the point was, it was that sort of, righteous indignation that moved people. And I'm just hoping that that happens, and you can't wait for black folks, because some people say, we're waiting for you folks to sort of lead it, because you've been in the battle so long, and that's the point. We've been in the battle so long, okay? We are tired. We know how to survive this, okay? Because we have survived it, but some say 1619, or when we were designated as 3/5 a human. We have survived this, but I'm not sure you will.
Ooh, that part.
Well, I'll ask a question. This one's for Ebony. I feel like with you being here, this is a great time, but if you can speak a little bit on I'll move this way, on the recent silencing of black journalists that has happened. Just your thoughts, feelings, anything.
I must say it sends chills up my spine with the acknowledgement of Don Lemon being arrested, as well as presidents of the NABJ chapter and other black journalists alike. To me, it sends chills up my spine because it hits home, not just because I'm a black person, because obviously, as Reverend Monroe mentioned, we've been through this. But when it comes to black journalism, it's extremely scary because this is happening yet again. When it comes to, we can just take it back to Frances Ella Watkins, who I believe this was like 1827, 1857, around that time. She was a black journalist as well. She risked her life to tell the stories that weren't being told when it comes to our community. Ida B. Wells, she risked her life when it comes to telling stories of the black community. Today in 2026, as a member of the Black Press, I'm risking my life when it comes to telling the stories of the black community. Here we are, what is this, what anniversary of?
250th.
250th.
We're on the eve of it, yeah.
On the eve of the 250th anniversary, and today I am still nervous to do my job. So to even come here to New Hampshire and being able to have this kind of conversation, that was extremely brave, and extremely brave of you all for putting that on. But when it comes to the attack on journalism, not just on local journalism or national journalism, it's just journalism as a whole, being able to tell all of the things that's really happening, how it's truly impacting people, how it's really influencing everyday issues that we have in our own home. And to be able to tell that truth and then to risk the thought of being arrested, or, once upon a time, Ida B. Wells was nervous to be lynched. So unfortunately in 2026, we're still facing those things, and for me, it's chilling, but it's also powerful, because it reclaims who I am, and it reclaims my purpose, and it also is not going to silence me. So I'm happy to be a black woman in Oratory.
Come on, sister.
Yeah.
Come on. That's right. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
As Kendrick Lamar said, with you at the helm, we're going to be all right.
We're going to be all right.
All right.
And they not like us.
Oh, come on. All right.
Thank you very much for coming to speak here. I'm just wondering, in the black church, black theologians, are you urging your congregations also to action against the Republican administration, the sociopathic administration and party? Are you suggesting that they also, I mean, whites should be looking for pulling everyone together too, but is that happening in black religious?
Well, okay, so let me talk about Cambridge here, and then some of the black churches in Boston, in Greater Boston here. So it's not like black ministers are not doing that and have really asked many of their white clergy fellow men to please join them. But I want to tell you, you know, as they say that the more things change, the more they remain the same. So Martin Luther King wrote a letter called A Letter in a Birmingham Jail. Now, if you haven't read this, this is the most appropriate time to read it, or you have to read it again. Because who were he talking to in that letter? White clergy, white clergy, white clergy. So it's not like we don't want to, you know, do coalition building, but they have to have the moral courage and compass to take the risk too. And it's not to say that some aren't doing it. They're not doing it in a critical number or mass that would bring about the kind of change or loud voice that would say to people, to signal to people, we are here, we got your back. So I always think it's so interesting because here was King in a jail, writing a letter in a Birmingham jail, and it is worth reading again. Because you would think that, and he was talking to clergy, not just in the South, who would have more to lose, but he was even talking to those up north. Excuse me, say that again? Minneapolis, yeah, where it's happening. And it's so funny, it's the same state and not too far where George Floyd was lynched. Yeah.
So, Reverend Monroe, I have a philosophical question. You said something I'm trying to understand. When we were talking about the audacity of hope, you said the emotion behind it was anger. And isn't this is just a question, the emotion behind hope optimism?
Yeah, did I say anger?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, well, let me think about what I was thinking about, whatever that is I was thinking at the time that I gave that to you here. Okay, so I think that sometimes, so one of my professors at Union Theological Seminary was Beverly Harrison, God bless her. And she said, and Audre Lorde said this too, that we use our anger to affect change here. You can have hope but anger behind it, but not in a way that we talk about it in terms of destructive anger. There is a kind of righteous anger. And so you know, I talk so fast, sometimes I can't keep up with myself. And sometimes I got to play it back. But if I use the word anger, I didn't mean it in any sense of when I was describing the angry black woman thing. I'm talking about it in terms of a righteous anger that would be a catalyst to affect change. Let's be real. We angry. Some of y'all are sublimating it. We angry. Yeah, I know you're angry. You're angry. Okay, and you need to get in touch with that anger. And it doesn't mean it has to be destructive, but it can be constructive. Okay, and it's more, I'm saying, because I think that the folks that come out and will come out March 28th to the No Kings rally, they're angry. But I want them to take that anger when they get back on the MBTA, this is Boston, and say, what black person wasn't here? What immigrant I know wasn't here? You know, what disabled person wasn't here? And there were just ways to reach out and do the necessary work that can build what I was hoping, a groundswell.
We have a question in the back. Oh, yeah, if you could do it here. if you could stand here, perfect. There.
Reverend Irene Monroe, I listen to you quite regularly on GBH, and I was wondering, the black professionals gender issue, is there any gender issue as far as two black professionals in the same level of their profession? How do
Okay,
you
so
feel about
you're
it?
asking,
Assert yourself nicely.
are you talking about on the radio or?
Radio.
Oh,
yeah,
listen,
Emmett
listen,
and
listen.
you.
I'm pretty much, if you've heard me on the radio, look, Jim talks over Marjorie, if anyone is watching that, his okay, all the time. I get on the show and talk over everybody, okay? I just talk over everybody here and stuff. And I need to say this, and I thank you for raising the question here, so people, you know, one of the things that I realize here is that and I hope I had said it, that if you raise your voice, then they know you're in the room. And what you're doing is that you're speaking for some folks who don't have the privilege to be heard. And you're inviting those people at the same time to speak. So can I give you an example? Shirley Chisholm. So, and don't tell me you were, no, come on, girl. Okay, come on, girl. Okay, I'm old enough to be your grandma. Okay, so.
You look good.
Okay, black don't crack, girl, you know what I'm saying? You better catch on that quickly. Okay, but nonetheless, so here we are in Brooklyn, and we're a very disenfranchised group. We're living in the projects, we're poor, all of that. We're pretty much invisible. And I have to tell you, Shirley Chisholm shocked me in terms of this. First, when she said she was running for Congress. And nobody cares about that district we were in. Nobody cared. What politicians would do, they would come the Sunday before Tuesday election, white politicians to come vote for them, and then after that, they got our vote. And that was it. Shirley Chisholm galvanized a community that had no belief in the ballot, although we had Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. But it also this, Shirley Chisholm, I gotta tell you, too, was no more than 5'2", at best 110 pounds, okay? She was a black-skinned girl from Bahamian Barbados, of Barbados parents. She spoke with a lisp. Anybody who go back to the old footage, okay, she spoke with a lisp. I was shocked because she denied everything that should be vocal, everything. And then had the audacity to run for president. And I remember, I said, Miss C, can you do that? You know, just, okay. And she said, of course I can. You too. And I was like, and then she said, you talk a lot. You should.
I guess, I don't know that you would have necessarily the answer, but I guess this is what's been bothering me, and I was looking through some things about, that Audre Lorde had written, because a friend of mine and I were talking about it, and we were sort of digging through it. And when she talks about the master's tools can't dismantle the master's house, that just stays with me, because I don't know, you know, I'm always thinking what to do. And you've offered some good ideas about righteous anger and you know, white people being more proactive, aside from just these sort of showing up at the certain marches. But do you have something about masters too?
Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about masters here. So master is really coming out of a slave lexicon, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you say that the master's tools cannot dismantle the master's house, a good example of that once, quote unquote, slavery was abolished, but I need to say this, it wasn't really ratified. It finally ended in 1995. I know it sounds incredulous, but Mississippi, yes, Mississippi was last to ratify it. So it didn't really end until 1995, even though, you know, they would say, well, we stopped what we were doing. But any event here, so that comes out of American Slaveocracy lexicon. And one of the things about the Master's House, that after slavery, they did this. They said, come on back. Okay, I'm going to pay you. You're going to be a sharecropper. Okay? I'm going to pay you, but you're going to be a sharecropper. Okay?
Doing
And
the
by the
same
end,
job.
okay?
Doing the same job.
Doing the same job, okay? Okay? But in a different way. And so, what white people got to understand, you uphold the Master's House too, and I love your term. Unless you're in that Uber Epstein class, baby, you in it too. You in it too.
And I will challenge you all. Nicole Hannah-Jones, she is also a journalist. The 1619 Project. If you want to start anywhere, I recommend you guys start there.
And talk about a disruption. You see, because of course it started 1620 with the Pilgrims. You know, that's what we learned. Just like you learned that Sojourner Truth said, "Ain't I a woman?" You know what I mean? But when you excavate the real history of stuff, as anything, it makes us much richer. Okay, because it really does. It makes us all be seen and appreciated. It really does here. But yes, 1619. It disrupted everything, you know, about people's notion of America.
Absolutely. It's definitely a pleasure sitting up here
Yeah.
with Reverend Irene Monroe.
And you too, a younger generation.
Well, thank you.
I can take, because of you, young people like you, I can take my seat and sit down. We're going to, like I said, we're going to be all right.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
I can go home now and have my cocktail, okay?
I'm going to give you a little background. Somebody else have a question?
Please.
We have one more question.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay. We have one more question that's coming from the chat. After that, we'll have closing remarks from Carolyn Saunders.
Oh, good.
But here's a question from the chat. Reverend Monroe, you point out that white rights have been diminished. Could you talk a bit more about that, especially in terms of getting folks to see and understand that?
Sure, we live in it. Good example. You got children, right? And I'm sure many of you in here got grandchildren. So let me tell you what your grandchildren ain't likely to get. Access to the American dream. They're paying rents that should be a mortgage. That's number one. Some of them have gone to college, and prestigious ones, no offense, working, I ain't got no harm about it, but working in Starbucks, that was not the agenda here on that. Your daughters now, while I come of age with Roe v. Wade, God forbid, any of them have unwanted, okay, come on, call it out, come on now.
Healthcare's been hollowed out.
That's right.
We don't have a best healthcare in the world.
That's right. Okay. So my point is, just look at your grandchildren, okay? And then we say stuff like, will they be able to breathe? Let alone have access to the American dream, okay? Will there be a job for them? So like I said, if your money is working for you, then you're not working for your money. Welcome to the working class. That's it.
For that, at this time, we have closing remarks already coming from Carolyn Saunders. Thank you very much.
I just have to thank this fabulous panel. Ebony J.J. Curry, Reverend Irene Monroe, and Sandi Clark Kaddy for starting us off. Thank you. Usually this is a very, or a somewhat easy job to wrap it up, but you made this very difficult today, so I'm glad the community dialogue is still up. And I want to start with something I had not planned to start with, but I heard Shirley Chisholm's name mentioned so often today. I just had this, so I guess I was supposed to read it. This is something she said at one time. "It is incomprehensible to me, the fear that can affect men in political offices. It is shocking the way they submit to forces they know are wrong and fail to stand up for what they believe. Can their jobs be so important to them, their prestige, their power, their privileges so important that they will cooperate in the degradation of our society just to hang on to those jobs.
All right. Woo! Come on now. Woo! Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'm glad the community dialogue is up there because, you know, this whole series, Echoes of Power, the tradition of African American oratory, in particular today. And by the way, Sandy, you changed the title of this program for me. It is no longer Unbought and Unbossed Black Female Oratory. It is Unbought and Unbossed Phenomenally Phenomenal Woman Black Female Oratory.
All right.
So thank you. So when I first learned of this theme for 2026, I really didn't know what to expect, because when I hear the word oratory and tradition, you know, I was thinking very formal, you know, sometimes pretentious speech delivered just to elicit some type of a response. And I was thinking that's a bygone era. Do we still do that? What relevance does it have today? And what relevance to my today and my here and now? But I've got to say, the past 3 weeks, and in particular today, made me really think differently about that. I was reminded that oratory is speech. It's elevated speech, speech on a whole different level. Excuse me. This tea talk has reminded me of language and how it often evolves and changes. And on the other hand, it also made me think a rose is a rose is a rose. A rose by any other name is still a rose, because speech, if it elevates, if it moves you, is oratory. I don't care what we call it. A quick web search also said that oratory is not mere speaking, but speech that appeals to our noblest sentiments, animates our souls, stirs passions and emotions, and inspires action. It is often at its finest when fostered during times of tragedy, pain, crisis, fear, and turmoil. In these situations, it serves as a light, a guide to those who cannot themselves make sense of the chaos and look to a leader to point the way. And then also, Audre Lorde was mentioned. Looks to a leader, we hear the words, and our silence will not protect us. So we may as well speak, right? Oratory and tradition is current and certainly relevant in these times. So I want to thank the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire for this Tea Talk series, which asked me to revisit, reframe, and broaden my understanding of its importance. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other thing I've been asked to do is just give a few highlights and key points, and I'm going to give very few, because if I gave all that came to me, we'd be here for much longer and no one would be happy with me. So again, thank you, Sandy, for renaming this. I hope it's okay with the Black Heritage Trail. Ebony, you started off by saying the tradition of Black female oratory is what gave you a voice, and what's going on now is not going to prevent you from using your voice. So thank you for sharing that, and I applaud you for doing that.
That's right. Woo! Come on, Carol.
Another thing you said, and I'm going back and forth, so if one of you said it and I attribute it to the other, please forgive me, all right? But I heard, we wish to plead our own cause because too often they have, and they haven't done it right. And never mind that they haven't done it right. We have voices. I don't need you to paraphrase for me. All right?
That's right.
Another thing, we have created a legacy of speaking truth to power. We have our own words and our own truth. I guess it really resonated with me because that's redundant. What else? The historical trope of the angry Black woman still exists, and sometimes we are angry, so it's all right. Another thing, what's the difference between cadence and authority? There is a difference, but what is most important is that we are authentic. All right? And at this point in time, we need more intersectional activism. So whatever that means to you, act. Let's see. I can't even read my writing. I was so excited here. But there were so many other points and so many names that were mentioned, and that is another thing. I'd like to mention some of the names that were mentioned here today. Fannie Lou Hamer, Jasmine Crockett, Michelle Obama, Sojourner Truth, Shirley Chisholm, Ayanna Pressley, Audre Lorde, and one I didn't hear, but I think you alluded to it. And in my case, it's real, and in your case, it may also be real. I think in a lot of cases, our mothers, or those who mothered us, were the first to give us, I don't know, that fire and tell us it was okay to be who we are. So I think our mothers need to be acknowledged.
Amen.
Woo!
Come on now. Love you, mama. Come on now.
Okay, so I'm winding up, and I want to thank each of you for being here today. I want to thank each of you who were online, because this is important, and I want to thank you for your continued interest, involvement, and support of the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire. Have to thank our sponsors, Episcopal Church of New Hampshire, Wentworth Douglas Hospital, Sheehan Finney, St. John's Church, Shaheen and Gordon, St. George's Church, New Hampshire Center for Justice and Equity, New Hampshire Humanities, and Melanie Levesque. Not to be forgotten, cannot be forgotten, should not be forgotten, Black Heritage Trail volunteers. Shelley Hartz, Diane Stradling, Noor Shoup, Linda Cunningham, Valerie Sousa, thank you for all you do and the way you do what you do, all right? Each of you, audience members, sponsors, volunteers, panel, what you do with and for the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire makes a difference. Your support makes the Tea Talks possible and helps the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire build that more inclusive community. So thank yourselves for doing that as well. And again, this was kind of planned and not. Sandy started with a poem. I'd like to end with one. Is it oration? I don't know. But it does make me feel, and that's one of the things that oratory does. It makes you feel and want to act. So I'll just share this little one with you. Oh, I can't do that just yet because I forgot something very, very, very important. This is the third Tea Talk, but not the last Tea Talk. There is one more next week, same place, Portsmouth Public Library, same time, 2 o'clock. I think no, I haven't. I think I've lost some of my notes, so sorry about that. Ah, I found them. I invite you to join us for the next Tea Talk. Okay? It's entitled On the Pulse of the Morning, The Future of African American Oratory. And it will feature Grace Kendeke, Kevin Pajaro Marinez, and Jazzy Mota. So please come, we're going to delve deeper into the theme Echoes in Power. And now I leave you with a little something. We are going into the Lenten season, et cetera, so, and I have some Louisiana roots, so leave you with a little lagniappe, a little something extra. It's called Blessing the Boats at St. Mary's, and it's by Lucille Clifton. May the tide that is entering even now the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever, and may you in your innocence sail through this to that. Thank you. Wow. Wow.